Hi, this is Jonathan. How you guys doing? I'm back with a new haircut, an unblocked left ear, as well as a little bit of a jet lag, just a little bit. Other than that, I'm fine. This video is about my first overseas gig after 2.5 years. If you're new to this channel, you might just want to subscribe to this channel and press that bell for notification of future videos that follow, and be part of Patreon to support this channel. I would appreciate it. COVID has done a number for all of us, on all of us. The restrictions in our own country, the inability to travel, the inability to meet up with close friends. So it was a joy that I've got a call from Eric Mu, who I've worked with for decades as a producer as well as a music director, that he wanted me to form a band for his 2 shows in California, basically Yamaha Casino Resort and Sacramento Hard Rock Cafe. So I got the guys together. These are the same guys that I played with, these past years, and I got Jimmy on drums and Casey on bass, Anthony on first keys, and Joel on second keys, and myself. Just 5 of us. So we had to record a couple of parts for those songs that had hard discs or playback, like live strings and stuff like that, just to enhance it a little bit. But I tried to keep the sound as a 5-piece band, that compact kind of sound. And I think we succeeded. So we did our rehearsals, and at the same time we applied for our visas, our working visas. Everything went smooth as a baby's backside. Everything just went smooth, and I think we were blessed by God, for His favors were upon us. So everything went down smooth. I went for the interview in the U.S. Embassy, and the next day I had my visa. So it was that fast. Had a good rehearsal, a 4 days rehearsal, and we're ready for the U.S. trip. And at the same time, I was facing 2 challenges, but not bad ones. My Paoletti signature John Cole model arrived, and I was like contemplating on whether should I bring this guitar up to the States and not run the risk of it being damaged. So I had a hard time deciding on it. I was planning to travel with my PRS Custom 22. In the end, I decided to bring up the Paoletti and packed it, and just pray for the best, that it will arrive there in one piece. And at the same time, I'm using this pair of IEMs from Fatfreq, the Hayabusa, which has been customized to my ears, and everything. So I've used it during rehearsals, and I was totally comfortable with it. And I am just waiting, and I'm just excited to use this in a live performance environment. And that was some of the excitement that I had in my heart, the guitar as well as the Hayabusa IEMs. And so we traveled first to Taipei. That took us like 4.5 hours, and then a 2-hour stopover, and then it's like 14 to 15 hours to LAX. We arrived at LAX, and again, God's favor is upon us. Everything was a breeze. We went through custom with no problem at all. Took a bus, had a very friendly Russian driver, all the way to San Bernardino to Yamaha Casino Resort. And along the way, he explained to us the whole history of Yamaha Casino, as well as the makeover that they have done, the renovation they have done, and that the venue that we're playing is spanking new with state-of-the-art equipment, and that Bruno Mars has performed there about a week or so before us. We arrived at Yamaha, and we were impressed with the hotel. It was really spanking new, really nice. The staff was all friendly. We're all friendly and always smiling. During our stay there, I think Joel mentioned to me that he felt like he was in Disneyland because everybody was so friendly. And it's true. And I checked into my room, and wow, I had a great room. With a view. For me, I stay in a HDB flat. In case you do not know, it's a flat, right? So it's all high rise, not much of a view. And in this room of mine had a real nice hillside view, open and wide. And I was like, whoa, what a view to wake up with, So anyway, we had a day free, and we went to Guitar Center, and one of us actually bought a Martin D28. Now I'm gonna ask you, who do you think bought that D28? among 5 of us? Right? Is it the drummer, the first key player, or the second key player, or the bassist? Now, I'm going to give you a clue. I didn't buy the Martin D28. I didn't need to have a D35 myself. So take a guess and leave your comments in the comment section down below. So the next day, we had our sound check and everything, and we were working with this new equipment from Yamaha where it's in the form of an iPad, and we had to balance what we want to hear in the IEMs through the iPad, which is pretty interesting. Had a good mix. We had a great monitor guy, the in-house monitor guys in Yamaha. They are great work professionals, they're great people. We had a great sound in our IEMs, in our cans. Did a sound check, proceeded with the show. Show went on without a glitch. Everything was cool, and I was so impressed with the Paoletti. It just felt good standing up. Because most of the time I was playing it during rehearsal sitting down. This time I had it strapped on, and in the live context I was dancing, I was moving about, and it just felt good in my arms and sounded really great. And of course, the Fatfreq Hayabusa IEMs was impeccable. It just sounded so good. I had the right balance, the right frequency. I didn't feel uncomfortable. Sometimes with IEMs you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but this one just kind of stay in my ears. Even though I'm singing back up and everything, I didn't have it slipping or sliding all over the place. It just stayed there intact, and great sound. So I was really impressed with these 2 challenges that I mentioned before. The show went on and the crowd loved it. I had a couple of people coming up from LA to catch a show. There's my godson Jay and his wife Charlene, and Jack, Dr. Jack Feng, and Lily, nice good old friends of mine, and Rick, a friend I haven't met for years. And they actually drove up from, Rick and his wife, they drove up from LA to catch a show. And we spent a little bit of time catching up. And yeah, the show went on well. And then the day after, we had a whole day free before we fly off to Sacramento. So we went to a retail outlet. I walked 6.4 km around that outlet. I'm going to tell you the name of the outlet right here. So had a good time. Had our in and outs, our burgers and stuff like that. And proceeded to fly from San Bernardino to Sacramento. So we took a flight to Sacramento, checked into Hard Rock Cafe, and there's this vibe in Hard Rock Cafe in Sacramento. It's just Hard Rock Cafe in the middle of nowhere. There's a wheat field, I think. So there's nothing around it, just a Hard Rock Cafe with a car park and wide open spaces. And the vibe in that stage was so rock and roll. And in fact, the venue is pretty new. And we were informed that Jeff Beck and who's that, Johnny Depp, performed there 10 days or 10 days before we arrived. We had great sound people, Richard, and what's the other guy, Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Jeremiah, who has the FOH, and Richard was in charge of the IEMs, and this sounded great. They had to rent in avions because they don't usually use avions there, to my knowledge. They had monitors, speaker monitors, side fields, the old school way, which I think is pretty rock and roll. But in our case, we were so used with avions and stuff like that, so I requested for the avions, which they supplied. And it sounded great, in our ears, in our cans and everything, and the show just went without a glitch. We had a great time with the audience, One thing that stood out was when we started the show, and most of the time I had my iPad, my 12-inch iPad, for the show. During rehearsals, I would have it plugged into a power plug, to a power brick, and you'll always be charging because I had the brightness on full. Now, I went on stage for the show in the dark, and I found out that my iPad was just blank, depleted of any power. And I went into panic mode. So I went down on my knees trying to get this charging and all that. It's just out, totally out. So I managed to get it charging like 1%. And I was at a loss, and that's where the guys came in. Those guys are the guys in my band. Anthony ran over with his own brick and cable and helped me to kind of like put it into the other side of the power strip, and it kind of charges. So I left it as there, so it was charging. But I knew then that I cannot be dependent on the iPad then, so I had to start the show because I was the music director. I had to start the show, so I decided to play it by memory. So I played the next 3-4 songs by muscle memory without the usage of the iPad, and it was charging. So after that, I turned on the iPad. Okay, it was turned on, but after 2 songs, it went dead again because I had the brightness on full. So I decided to not read from the iPad and play by memory again for the next 2 or 3 songs and have it charge. So this time I had my brightness on the minimal, and it worked. So I got on with the rest of the show with no other problems. But it was a scary thing for me. So the experience that I had when I'm playing by memory was really liberating in many sense, because I was just playing music. I wasn't just reading it, because you have the tendency to always be dependent upon your charts, and it was a refreshing experience for me again, because I used to not read when I was playing the clubs back in the 80s, and we were playing music, we were performing, and that's why I love performing on stage, and that kind of brought back all the old memories and the joy that I had, which I think is awesome. So I think it's a good reminder for me to know that the iPad is there for a reference and not as a crutch. So some of you guys, maybe you should take note of this. I know I am taking notes of this. So anyway, the show went on flawlessly, and I had a good friend of mine, an old friend of mine, Candy, who drove like 7.5 hours to catch the show, and we had a great time catching up over supper, so that was great. And right after that, we had a day off, nothing much to do, and prepare for our trip home. Along the way, we have to fly, or rather take a bus from Sacramento to San Francisco, and from there to Taiwan, to Taipei, another 15 hours, and then 2 hours stopover, and from Taipei, 4.5 hours to Singapore. I reached Singapore, everything was intact, the guitar was undamaged, even though I lost the lock. My helix was all in one piece, so everything was cool. But I came back with a blocked left ear, which is so irritating, mostly because of the atmospheric pressure when you land and you take off again, especially these long hauls. They wreak havoc on your ears if you're not careful. I just thought it was a great trip, after like 2.5 years. To go overseas, breathe different air, look at different places, different environments, and interact with different kind of people. It was a great experience. So I think me and the band, we thoroughly enjoyed this trip. I want to give my thanks to Jane Entertainment for being so hospitable and taking care of us all the way, as well as the respective casinos and resort, the Yamaha Casino Resort, as well as Hard Rock Cafe, Sacramento. I want to thank the guys, because they had my six. They were, we go out as a group. We play as a group. We enjoy ourselves as a group. We hung together as a group. So these are one of the best guys to travel with. And Eric Moo, of course, for inviting us on these 2 gigs, which is really great. And I want to thank my sister ChewBin for all the wonderful photos that you've seen that she took of us in the band. So great people, right? If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and press that bell for notification of future videos that follow, and be part of the patrons to support this channel. I would appreciate it. I thank all my patrons for the wonderful love, their friendship, and the support. Thank you guys. So I look forward to the next trip overseas, but in any case, I'll be doing another show for Eric come February on the 4th in Singapore this time. So I can't wait to play again, this time with my godson Marcus on second guitar. So in the meantime, you guys be safe and take care of yourself. Videos coming pretty soon. I'm back to my old schedule right now, so watch out for them, and I'll see you real soon. Arrivederci.